What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring you the first of my way too early 2022 positional rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft. These are very, very early looks. I've not delved into tape with these guys simply just because I want to look into their tape from this year, unless they opt out, obviously. So then, we'll be looking at the previous year. So again, I've not delved deep into these guys. These are kind of brief looks at tape, looking around what other people have said, kind of looking at what some scouts are saying and stuff. So we're going to go through and look at my top 10 quarterbacks today. And without further ado, let's get into it. My quarterback number one, as of right now, is going to be Sam Howell. The very popular pick here is Spencer Rattler, and the second most popular is Malik Willis. A lot of people are starting to cool down on Sam Howell, and I think they need to kind of calm the brakes because, to me, I think Sam Howell has obviously played like the number one quarterback in this class up to this point. Now, that's obviously where the thing comes in, because Spencer Rattler, Malik Willis, even Brock Purdy could be the number one quarterback in the class. There is no definitive number one right now, kind of like we've had in years previous. Sam Howell, he's a bit undersized for the type of style that he plays. He is only 20 years old, though, going into his third year. Has a heck of an arm, great accuracy. I love this pocket presence, has nice escapability as well. Obviously, the big issue with him this year is going to be his weapons there at Northern Carolina. He lost Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Dyami Brown, and Daz Newsome. That's a lot of good weapons to lose in the course of 1 year. Now, he is getting Ty Chandler, who will be featured in my running back videos, transferring over from Tennessee, coming over for his fifth year, a super senior. But I don't know if that's going to be that good because we're still kind of waiting for Ty Chandler to break out. So if he doesn't break out in his final year here, then you've not gained any weapons. You've just lost four great ones. Great for college football, at least. So obviously there's going to be a big deal with that. There's going to be a big challenge for Sam Howell, but I think he can step up to it. I think he reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield played tremendously well in his rookie year without any offensive weapons. So Sam Howell could very well do the same thing here. As of right now, I do have him as my number one quarterback in the class. Number two, we have Spencer Rattler. Again, a lot of people's number ones, but I think for right now, I can't put him at number one. I think number two is a proper placement for him. He has shown some really, really good things at time. The problem is he's also shown some really, really bad things at time. And obviously a weakness I list down there is consistency. He definitely does struggle with staying consistent because when he plays well, he plays very well. He has probably the best arm talent in the class other than Malik Willis. But I really view it as more of zip behind his throw. I don't really view it as power behind the throw. Still a nice arm, obviously, though. Again, pocket presence, I love it on this guy. He's also... again, besides maybe Malik Willis, probably the best pocket pocket escaper in this college football this year, in this year's draft class. And overall, as a passer, I really like him. But once again, the size, of course, is going to be something to note, regardless of whether he likes to run a lot or not. And processing, I think, is definitely his other big issue. It kind of looks like he has some issues just reading the field, especially quickly. He's been gifted a pretty good offensive line there at Oklahoma. So if he doesn't pick up with his, reading and his processing, he might struggle pretty badly in the NFL if he doesn't get a good offensive line. Being that a lot of people are projecting him to be like a top 5 pick, I'm imagining he's probably not going to have the best offensive line. So he definitely does need to pick up on that. But overall, I still do like Spencer Rattler. He holds a ton of potential. I think he probably has either the highest or the second highest ceiling in this class. So I definitely get why a lot of people like him. But up to this point, I can't put him number one above Sam Howell. Number three, we have Malik Willis out of Liberty. He's 22 years old, going into his fourth year, his senior year this year. So he more than likely will definitely be coming out this year. Strengths, this guy's got a cannon of an arm. Like I said, besides Spencer Rattler, probably has the best arm in the class. Unlike Spencer Rattler, he does have really nice processing, and he is athletic, super, super athletic. Not only that, but he has tremendous upside. He's been playing at Liberty for a couple years now, formerly from Auburn. He transferred over. Now, it does kind of concern me because Bo Nix was able to kind of take over this guy, and if Malik Willis is so good, why was Bo Nix able to take him over? Just because you're a 5-star recruit doesn't automatically mean you'll be starting. You see that with guys like Tyler Beach, for example. So it's kind of like why was Bo Nix able to take him over? Once again, you have to know the size here and also the competition. Liberty is not going to be facing a lot, if any, good teams. I can look at their schedule, but I'm pretty sure they're playing like Syracuse. I think the best. I think the best team they're playing is, I think they might be playing TCU, which would be a bit of a competition, but I'm not even sure on that one. So obviously that, and then also the accuracy. Although he's a great processor and very good arm, sometimes he just straight up misses passes, and that's just kind of at times though. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. Running ability, I don't list it here, but this guy is easily the best running quarterback in the class. My comp for him right now, and this is a very early comp, obviously, but truly Michael Vick. Just the way that his raw athleticism and his speed and stuff reminds me so much of Michael Vick. So I do like Malik Willis. There are just a few things there to where it's like, even if he does play amazing this year, he's not playing good talent. Now, obviously, you don't have to play good talent to make great plays. Look at Zach Wilson, for example. But, again, just the fact that Bo Nix was able to fend him off, at times his accuracy can just be dead awful. There are some flags there for me, but I still do like Malik Willis, and he could very easily be the number one quarterback, just like any other guy in this class this year. Number 4, we have Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. I couldn't find how old he is. I just literally couldn't find it anywhere. But he's going into his 4th year, his senior year there at Cincinnati. Very good arm as well. It's not Spencer Rattler or Malik Willis-like, but it's a very good arm. Also very accurate, and he extends plays very well. It's very fun watching him extend plays and stuff. The problem with Desmond Ridder is that he is too confident. There are times where he just makes some straight up head-scratching, stupid plays, and he forces passes. Like that's easily his worst trait, is that he forces passes way too often. Now, I think to a certain degree he's being held back by Cincinnati. They don't have the best offensive line in the world, and they definitely don't have the best receivers. They're also in a worse division, so take that as you will. But I think Desmond Ridder can be a great quarterback. But he's also kind of one of those guys where I don't see him being any better than like a Kirk Cousins or, a Ryan Tannehill. I feel like his ceiling is kind of that middle of the road, get it done on an elite team type quarterback. So he really does have to go to the right team for him to work out, because he's not going to lead a bad team to anything special. He's just not that good. Broshma's brought up a lot. He doesn't know what he has left to come back in Cincinnati a year. I think he can up his stock. I feel like if he would have come out last year, he'd be a 2nd, maybe 3rd rounder. I think he can work his way into the 1st round. And again, realistically, any quarterback can take that number 1 quarterback status this year if they play well enough. He does have that type of style where you're just not going to be like a top 5, even top 10 quarterback, but he can be very close to that. I think I'm kind of predicting Cincinnati to have a big year this year. I think they could possibly make the college football playoffs. Obviously, they'd have to be undefeated, and the voters would have to be nice to him. But I think he does have something to prove. I think he can be a 1st-round quarterback, and I still do like Desmond Ridder. Although I don't think he's going to ever be anything more than like a Kirk Cousins. Number 5, we have Kedon Slovis out of USC, and I kind of had this guy wrong the very first time I looked at him. Not a 5-star recruit. He fended off a 5-star recruit. He was a 3-star recruit and kind of just never looked back. Kedon Slovis is a very tough prospect to evaluate because he's not got the best size, but he's not short. For the way he plays, he definitely doesn't have the size you're looking for, but we've seen that, you don't have to have that size to work out. Other thing is he doesn't have a lot of upside. Even if he does work on the NFL, kind of the same with Desmond Ridder. I don't feel like he'll ever be that top 5, top 10 quarterback, but he can be good enough to get the job done on an elite team. Very good processor. I love his arm talent, and, accuracy is very good. The main issue with Kedon Slovis is that, God, he's the definition of inconsistent. There are times where Kedon Slovis looks like the best quarterback in college football, and then there are times where he looks like the worst. I mean, sometimes you'll see these beautiful plays, that are just fantastic to watch, and then the next play he'll throw some dumb interception that should have never happened. If he can get his consistency down, sort of like, Spencer Rattler, he could work his way up to be a top 3, maybe even the number 1 or 2 quarterback in the class. It really just depends on how he plays this year at USC. Now, if he has a down year again, I could definitely see him coming back for his senior year. So, obviously a lot of these guys are probably going to be going back to school. So, none of them are confirmed to come out in the class yet, unless they're in like their senior year. And even then, that's not really confirmed. But, the key for Kedon Slovis this year is to stay consistent. And if so, he can be a very high-picked quarterback. At number 6, we have Grayson McCall in his third year here at Coastal Carolina. First year, if I'm thinking correct, first year wasn't very good, and then had a very, very good second year. I think he could step up even bigger this year. Now, I don't really know, he doesn't kind of feel like he's going to come out this year because, he had one good year of production. So even if he has another good year here, I think at best he's a second rounder. But, I still think that, Grayson McCall, very good at extending plays, and I love his pocket presence once again. He is very good at escaping. Does not have the best arm in the world. It's not a bad arm, but it's just not, good compared to some of these other guys with very good arms, Spencer Rattler, Malik Willis. Processing can definitely be an issue for him at times. I think he definitely still shows a lot of rawness when he's playing a lot of the times, and sometimes sort of like Malik Willis, his accuracy can just be dead off, but it's at times. So, Grayson McCall, an interesting prospect here. Again, I couldn't find out how old he was, but overall, he shows flashes, definitely shows a lot of upside and potential. But once again, I think he's got to work on just some of those mechanics before he's really draftable. And I think that may be what ultimately makes him come back for another year, even after this year, even if he is good, just because I feel like he's got to get those mechanics down, sort of similar to Kyle Trask this last year. So Grayson McCall here at number 6. Number 7, we have Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. 22 years old in his senior year here. Very good accuracy. Very rare that he dead misses a pass like a few of these other guys. Processing also very nice. But the escapability is where I think this guy shines. He's not a running quarterback, but he is a very, very good, escape artist is I guess the only way to put it for me. And with that, obviously, naturally, he just has very good pocket presence. Except he doesn't, is the weird thing. You would think that if he's good at escaping the pocket, then he has good pocket presence. Not really. He just oftentimes he ends up running just because he somehow narrowly escapes these plays where he should be sacked. And obviously that's why I do love his escapability so much, but he definitely needs to work on being able to get the ball out quicker. If he could work on kind of getting rid of some of those head scratchers, which at times he does just kind of have dumb moments. Every college quarterback does. But if he can really work on that pocket presence and, obviously it's hard to make your arm better, but if his arm could be a little bit better, I think he could be much higher on this list. But for right now, I just think because, he's not the best pocket presence guy, even though he's good at escaping the pocket, he definitely needs to work on that. So number 8, we have JT Daniels out of Georgia, coming into his senior year, 21 years old. The things about JT Daniel is maybe has the most upside in this class, other than Spencer Rattler and Malik Willis, probably has the most upside in this class. Very, very, very talented arm. I love, his deep ball is great. And once again, he kind of has that really good escape ability, but this guy's a really bad processor. Definitely struggles with reading defenses, and at times, again, just has really bad accuracy, and the decision-making is just bad sometimes. There are times where he doesn't have to force the ball, but he does. There are times where he doesn't have to leave the pocket, but he does. So I just think there's a lot of little red flags here and there that while he has some very good qualities and has a ton of upside, there are a bunch of little things that he needs to work out before he really becomes, more than a third, fourth round quarterback for me. So JT Daniels here at 8. Could be the surprise breakout year, this guy. I know a lot of people really do like him, but he's definitely got a few things to fix before that happens. Number 9, we have Brock Purdy out of Iowa State. Brock Purdy, everyone talks about how he's a one-year wonder and everything. Really, his other years were not that bad. Obviously, they weren't like that one spectacular year he had, and against, way lesser competition, and also does not have that size for the type of quarterback he does play. Thing about Brock Purdy, ton of upside. Obviously, when you play like that, and it's obviously there, he has that upside. I think given the right situation in the NFL, he has the amount of upside to become a top 15 top 10 quarterback. His arm is very impressive, and I think he does have a very nice processor, actually. He's very good at reading a defense. I just think at the end of the day, like, he's struggling to kind of put it together. Like, he kind of just falls under pressure a lot and obviously needs to work on that. But if he can replicate that one great year he had, I think he can move up into the second, potentially even the first round. Again, size a bit of a concern, but in the competition, obviously, still, you're not going to get super high. That's part of why I don't know if Malik Willis is going to be the number one quarterback, but he can move up into that second round if he does play well again this year. And our last guy on the list is going to be Dillon Gabriel out of UCF. Again, couldn't find his age, but he's in his third year here at UCF. Or I don't know if he's ever transferred. I don't know if he transferred to UCF, but whatever. He's in his third year of college football. Escapability, obviously very good. Very nice speed, and he actually does have a nice processor. He's not a bad decision maker. It's just kind of, again, those core mechanics that he struggles with, and, just the traits of a quarterback. Definitely undersized. Arm is far from where you would like it to be for, like someone who's not very good at accurately throwing the ball. You'd at least maybe like him to be able to chuck it, but he really can't. And again, his accuracy is also poor. And it's not just at times. There are a fair amount of times where he's just pretty off. And, there are the red flags here. Reminds me a lot of Kyler Murray. I do think they have very similar games, but Kyler Murray obviously has a much better arm and way better accuracy. And I feel like Dillon Gabriel is a guy that may struggle to use the size to his advantage. A guy like, again, Kyler Murray uses that size to his advantage in some ways. And they've built, more of a short to intermediate game around him, although the intermediate game hasn't worked out well for the Cardinals. They've built more of a short passing game with long plays every now and then. Dillon Gabriel is never going to be able to make those long passing plays, and even then he kind of struggles at short. So he's really leaning on the verge of being like a day 2, day 3 guy for me. Probably a day 3 guy as of right now, but again, can rise. Honestly, depending on the year he has, he could go undrafted. It really depends. So like I said, that's why I haven't dived too deep on these guys, because, I don't want to do all that and then have it completely changed by the actual draft. And then here are some guys that we should also take note in, that aren't on my top 10, but are definitely some guys to be looking out for. Carson Strong out of Nevada. A lot of people really like him. I'm pretty sure Mel Kiper Jr. had him as his third quarterback this year. To be honest, I really just haven't looked at enough to be able to call him a top 10 quarterback yet. I'll definitely have to pay attention to him this year. One guy I have paid attention to is Romeo Dubes, so I'll be looking at both of them when I'm looking at Nevada. Jayden Daniels out of Arizona State. From what I've seen, it looks like he's a really nice runner and stuff, but also a lot of these guys I really just haven't paid attention enough to put them on my top 10. But Jayden Daniels is a guy that I've seen on a few top 10s. Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh is kind of one of those guys that again is pretty limited in his potential, but does show some nice potential as a backup or stuff. Phil Jurkovich, I think is how you say it, out of Boston College. Once again, just kind of one of those big name guys that I'm going to be looking out for naturally. Still just haven't looked at him enough. Tyler Shuck out of Texas Tech. He was actually in my mock draft. All I knew was that I did like his athleticism and his potential, but he transferred over to Texas Tech from Oregon. He's definitely going to have to show a lot this year to be anywhere near draftable, though, because, his first year at Oregon definitely was far from good. So, Mikael Cunningham out of Louisville. Again, very, very talented quarterback. Actually reminds me a lot of Lamar Jackson, a former Louisville quarterback, but injuries is a big concern with him right now. D'Eriq King out of Miami, very, very good college quarterback, but what I've seen from some guys is that he is cannot translate to an NFL quarterback. I think it was Broshmo, who is a Miami fan, basically straight up said, this guy's not going to be drafted because he just cannot be an NFL quarterback. So I'll have to look more into that. But from what I've heard, he's not going to translate well. Bo Nix out of Auburn has definitely been disappointing. And again, like I said earlier, I don't know how Bo Nix was able to fend off Malik Willis, unless Malik Willis just wanted to transfer over to Liberty. But yeah, so Bo Nix has definitely not played amazing at Auburn. And then Tanner Morgan out of Minnesota. Again, some upside, but very poor play. I think he's a big reason why Rashad Bateman was held back. as much as he was. Or was it Rashad Bateman? Whoever the receiver out of Minnesota was. It was either Rashad Bateman or the other guy I'm thinking of out of Purdue. I can't remember his name right now. I'm already forgetting this year's draft class because I'm already moving on to the next. I'm trying to think of his name. But I think it was Rashad Bateman, though, I'm pretty sure. Or whoever that Minnesota receiver was. I think Tanner Morgan is a big reason that they were held back. And so, we'll see where he lands, but probably not going to go drafted. So just some other guys to take note in. But that is my quarterback rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft. Again, these could change drastically. These are all brief looks. What I'm seeing across the internet from these guys, again, just we'll have to look more than this season to see what we truly think about them. But if you guys did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. We're going to be doing our inside defensive line rankings next for the NFL, and then our running back rankings on, what'll it be, Sunday. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.